Recording in progress. Our ancestors trusted you. You want to.
Recording stopped.
Good morning, Rebbetzin.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov and Mevorach to everybody. A good first day of the month of Adar. Today's Aleph Adar. Aleph Adar. A great day. A great day.
Recording in progress.
To begin a brand new everything. Because every day, I know this is going to sound like so trite. 1 second. Let me get the phone close. Okay, this is going to sound very trite, but it's every single day is a brand new beginning, and every single Rosh Chodesh is a brand new beginning. And if we would only believe in our Torah with our totality, if we would believe in the Torah like we believe that right now it's the daytime, except in Australia, I think it's by you night, but here in Eretz Israel it's daytime. If we would believe in the Torah with the certainty that we believe in things that we can see, our life would be Gan Eden in this world. Our problem is that we don't really 1,000% believe, because if we did, we would say, okay, today's a brand new start, a brand new day, a brand new month, and we can start all over again. And actually today, this month, is the final month of the year. So this is called the 12th month, right? Because the first month of the year in the biblical calendar is Nisan, and the final month is Adar. And so we're in that month right now, and it's a month of Marbim B'Simcha. The Gemara says, just like when Av comes in, we minimize Simcha, so too when Adar comes in, we increase Simcha, which is an interesting way to put it, because there's making connection between the month of Av, such a sad month, with the month of Adar, such a happy month. But we know that in the month of Adar, Hashem turned everything upside down. The month of Adar could have been also a sad month. Instead, it's our happiest month. It's our jolliest month. And this year, interestingly enough, Ramadan, the Muslim month where they're supposed to be doing tshuva, that month comes out in the same, always parallels one of our months because they have a lunar calendar. Their religious calendar is a lunar calendar, just like ours. However, they didn't have Torah Shabbal Peh. They don't know how to make their calendar stable. And so their calendar revolves around every year. It's different times. The month of Ramadan comes out different months every single year. We have Torah Shabbal Peh. Hashem said you have to have a stable calendar, and the lunar calendar must coincide every few years with the solar calendar. And that's why our rabbis taught us, and Hashem taught them, that we make a leap year every few months, every few years. We add in a full month so that Pesach comes out in the springtime. Otherwise, if we would have a rolling calendar like the Muslims have, then Pesach would come out in the winter and the summer and the spring and the fall. It would just keep changing. It would move around. But because we always can stabilize the calendar, we know how to stabilize it. So we have, and then Pesach always comes out in the springtime. But this year, the calendar comes out that the Ramadan is in Adar, which is good luck for the Jews. I mean, every time it's good luck for the Jews, but this year is going to be very, very specially blessed. Well, let's see how that works out. Let's just learn some Torah from the Pri Tzaddik. We're going to learn some Torah, and simple, unadulterated. It's not going. Sometimes you need to have shiurim where there's lots of stories and there's lots of jokes and there's lots of this. We're going to just learn a piece in the Pri Tzaddik. Let's see how far we can get in this piece. And okay, so it's Parshas Truma. First of all, welcome to the Parsha session. It's Parshas Truma. We have 5 parshiot now, really 4.5, talking about the Mishkan. The building of the Mishkan, the commandment to build the Mishkan, every year we say this, the commandment to build the Mishkan is in Truma Tetzaveh. Then we take a little bit of a break to do the sin of the golden calf and Kitisa. Then Vayakal Pekudei is the actual building of the Mishkan. This week and next week is the command to build. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu what to do. Get ready. This is what you're going to do. And then in Vayakal Pekudei, it's the actual construction of the Mishkan. And now you know that the Mishkan transformed into the Beit HaMikdash. In terms of the totality of time that both the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash existed, right? In an operational sense. The Mishkan lasted for how many years? 40 years. Then they had a temporary Mishkan in Eretz Yisrael for 450 years. So let's say it's rounded off 500 years we had the Mishkan. Then the Beit HaMikdash, the first Beit HaMikdash was for 410 years. The second Beit HaMikdash was for 420 yeers. Add in the 70 years of exile, sum total 1,000 years. Really, 400. 4 and 4 is 8, 9. 9 and 5 is 4. 15. Let's say from the beginning of the Mishkan until the end of the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash, 1,500 years, 1,500 years. So, but how long are we a nation here, right? We're a nation for much longer. And so why does the Torah have to give 5, in Parsha Shmo, in the book of Shmos, 5 parshas, and then the whole book of Vayikra Kimat is talking about the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash? It's an important question because we keep Shabbos every single Shabbos. So you would think that there would be much more about the laws of Shabbos in the Torah, since it's every single Shabbos forever, from the beginning till the end. The Mishkan was and the Beis Hamikdash were temporary, and will resume. But why so much? It's an important question to ask. And the answer, and it was such an important question that the Christians made up a whole religion based on that question. They said, oh, the Jews lost their temple, the Jews lost the Mishkan, they lost their temple, so then it must have been that the Jews lost their privileges, and they made up a new religion, and they tried to hijack Judaism and say that they're the new Jews. But that's pretty silly. If you don't learn Chumash properly, then you don't know that the Mishkan is constant, just like Shabbos is constant, and the Chagim, the holidays, are constant, and the mitzvah of kosher is constant, and the Mishkan is constant, and the Beis Hamikdash is constant. It's just that we do things, we fulfill the mitzvot of the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash in a different way nowadays. Just like, for example, Shabbos is the same Shabbos now as it was 4,000 years ago. Same Shabbos, except did they have a plata? Did they have a blech? Did they have a Shabbos urn? How did they keep their food warm? And as the world changes and as the world turns, so the ways of keeping the mitzvot adapt to the situation of the world, right? So right now, we have like Shabbos mode on your refrigerator. They didn't even know it was a refrigerator, right? There was no such thing. So we have the world adapts, and we know that's why Yiddishkeit Judaism is so eternal, because Hashem gave us the generalities and the rules in such a way that we can adapt to every situation, right? And whenever there's a new invention, our rabbis have to evaluate this new invention, this new technology, this new whatever it is, to see, is it kosher, is it not kosher? What's its status with regard to Shabbos? What's the status with regard to whatever category it fits into? And I told you the story so many times when Shabbos clocks became all the rage. When I was a little girl, there was a new thing called the Shabbos clock on the lamps. So my grandfather, should rest in peace, was very upset. He said, we don't have light Shabbos afternoon. Either you keep the light on the whole Shabbos, or you don't. But you don't have that. It goes off, it goes on. He was very upset and every Shabbos, my whole childhood, whenever the Shabbos clock would go on, it was like a lamp, a standing lamp in his house, because he was living there with my aunt. He would shudder like, oi. And no matter how many times the rabbi explained to him it's kosher, and he understood it, but he just said, that's not how, in olden times, Shabbos afternoon, mincha was dark already, and they had, however they illuminated. So how do we keep the Mishkan nowadays? Many different ways, very many different ways we keep the Mishkan. First of all, and the Mikdash. First of all the furniture in the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash has been transferred to our homes and to our shuls. So the Aron Kodesh in the Mishkan is now in the synagogue, in the shul, and it houses the Sifrei Torah, the Torah scrolls. On our doorposts, we have mezuzot, which in the Mishkan and the Beis Hamikdash, they didn't. I don't know if they didn't in the Mishkan for sure have mezuzot. In the Beis Hamikdash, I don't think either. And we have mezuzot, the little Torah scrolls that are on every one of our doorposts in our house, except for the bathroom door. We have a little tiny rolled up Torah scroll with a small portion of the Torah written on it. And that's on a certain level, there's a certain level of the Ananei HaKavod, the protective clouds, and the protection of the Mishkan around us. And whenever we say with our mouths the korbanot, then it's as if the order of the sacrifices and the offerings. When we say it with our mouth, we're lucky to say it twice a day. We say it by shacharit and by mincha. And so when you say the korbanot by shacharit and by mincha, you are fulfilling as if your soul offered that korban. Now, it is true that when Mashiach comes, we are going to have the para azuma. It's going to do a much deeper level of cleansing than we do right now. But everything that we had in the Beis Hamikdash could be on a certain superficial level is duplicated by the way that we live our lives, the way that we eat kosher food. Okay, there was kosher food in addition to the Mishkan in the Jewish camp, we always ate kosher. But now that we're eating kosher food, so that's parallel, not exactly equivalent, but it's parallel to to the Kohanim, and how they would slaughter the animals in the Mishkan Beis Hamikdash. And when we do Teshuvah, it's as if we did a Korban Chatat. Again, just on a superficial level, not the deepest, but on a superficial level, it's there. When we say Mizmor LaTodah in the davening in the morning, it's as if we gave a Korban Todah. When we give charity, it's as if we gave a Korban Shlamim. We have all of the different possibilities of a certain level of each of those experiences in the Beis Hamikdash. The clothing of the Kohen Gadol, right? We learned the whole teaching. Maybe I'll do it with you next week in this class. Yeah, maybe I'll do it with you this next week in this time slot. What's next Wednesday? Is it a special day next Wednesday? I know next week's a very busy week. I forgot. No, we have a class next Wednesday, right? So maybe I'll do with you the Kohanim. So we have every single morning in the Shema, in the paragraph before Shema, we say the 8, and we ask Hashem for 8 requests, and each of these requests relates to Torah and mitzvot. And the Ishbitzer Rebbe says that each of these requests and each of these words that we say every single morning is as if we adorned ourselves with the 8 begadim, the 8 garments of the Kohen Gadol. So we have that. And Friday night when we light candles, that's the menorah. And Hanukkah, we also light candles, that's the menorah. So we have basically, when we make challah for Shabbos, we have the challah, we have the shulchan, right? So we have, and certainly we're making sacrifices in terms of living like a Jew in this world. Is a, even though Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zatzal used to say, don't ever say this, but for some people, it's a sacrifice to keep Shabbos until they get used to it. Until Shabbos is part of their life, it's hard for them to keep Shabbos. It's hard to give up the phone. It's hard to give up the work, going to work and making money, whatever. Although we are able to encompass the entire Mishkan in our lives. And of course, the pasuk in this parsha, this week's parsha says it. V'asita li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Make for me the mikdash, and then I'll dwell inside of them. And the famous question is, what does it mean, I'll dwell inside of them? Why doesn't it say I'll dwell inside of the Mishkan? And the answer is because the Mishkan is inside of each one of us. And that's what the tzaddikim, as I said in the beginning, if we really, really, really believed with the full totality of belief that in every single thing that we learn in the Torah, our life would be totally different. The tzaddikim really, really, really believe, and they know that they don't want to, if the Mishkan is inside of us, and we represent and we contain, our lives fulfill all of the mitzvah of the Mishkan, then you're not allowed to bring Tameh into the Mishkan. You're not allowed to bring a dead body into the Mishkan. You can't bring Tumah, something impure, into the Mishkan. You can't have the wrong thoughts in the Mishkan. And so that's how they keep themselves clean and pure, is they say, I'm a Mishkan. I cannot desecrate my mind, my speech, my body. And they live with that. That's what the difference of a tzaddik and a regular Jew that's struggling. We're all struggling to be Beinonim, according to the Tanya. And that means we're struggling. We overcome. We get, we're better. We're worse. We try harder. We do tshuva. Then we sometimes mess up again. Chas v'shalom. Then we do tshuva again until we finally get it right. So we're in process. But the tzaddikim take everything mamish. And so they say, if I'm a Mishkan, I'm a Beis Hamikdash. No one's allowed to desecrate me. No one's allowed to say something bad against me. No one's allowed to hurt me. I'm not allowed to hurt myself. I have to keep myself clean. I have to keep myself mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually and physically clean. All the food that I bring into myself has to be holy, etc., etc. And they live like that. If you ever wanted to know what's the difference between a real tzaddik and a regular me and you, like we call each other tzaddikim. You're such a tzaddik. Thank you for coming to my shir. You're such a tzaddikus. Just for coming to a class doesn't make you a tzaddikus. But we use that word, we throw it around, right? But the real tzaddikim are a totally different ballgame. And they look like people, and they talk like people, and they eat like people, and they have lives like people, but they're in a different mindset. We have to aim to get to that mindset. And that's why it's so inspiring when we see tzaddikim. It's so inspiring because they just remind us what is reality. And I told you this story, and I say it again because I really believe that all the stories that happened to me personally didn't happen to me for me. They happened to me so that I could teach them and use them as use them as a way of illustrating a point. So, and I must have told you the story a few weeks ago, even because I remember just telling it, but I don't remember to whom. Years and years ago, he's still alive, I think. His name is Dr. Bear Walker. Bear like the animal, and Walker likes to walk. You can see him on YouTube. He's from what I can see on YouTube. I looked him up a few years ago. He's a little bit different than when I first met him, but he's a Native American Indian healer that I met in New York 30 years ago, and he was brought to New York by the head of the Bikur Cholim of Miami, of Florida. She should rest in peace. And she was the mother of the Rebbetzin Rebbetzin. She should also rest in peace. And they're cousins of mine. They're distant cousins of mine. And the Rebbetzin Rebbetzin mother, she was the head of the Bikur Cholim in, I don't know if it was the whole Florida or southern Florida, Miami, but again, this is many, many decades ago. And one of the, because in those days, all the old Jews would go there to retire or to spend the winter. And you're always looking for a good doctor or a good whatever. And so this Rebbetzин's mother, who was also a Rebbetzin in her own right, Rebbetzin Nyman, she found this guy, Dr. Bear Walker, and she began to bring all the Jewish people to him. And he would do all kinds of interesting natural native healings, and he would do herbs a little bit. And he had this machine that you'd hold onto it, and it would measure all your body signals, and it was interesting. But anyway, he told me that the first time he saw a Jew make a bracha on water, he said that he saw with his eyes the energy of the water exploded exponentially. Didn't explode in a bad way, in a good way. It all of a sudden became super highly energized. And he had never seen an Orthodox Jew make a bracha on anything, and he didn't know what was happening. And he asked it was an older Jewish man, he said, what magical spell did you just cast on that water? And the man understood, and he said he just made a blessing, and he explained to him what we do. And Bear Walker said, you don't understand what you did to that water, you changed it. And he asked him to teach him how to say a bracha, and the man said, it's not going to work for you because you're not Jewish. And it's a whole long story, but Dr. Bear Walker said a line that I kept in mind for so many years, and that is, you Jewish people have everything. You have the answers to everything in your Torah if you would only access it. And it was such a painful remark when he was saying it like in a complimentary way. But I took it I had so much pain hearing that, because we don't take it seriously. We take it 90% seriously, right? But if a person gets a headache, wake up with a headache in the morning, is the first thing you do to scream out to Hashem, or is the first thing you do to look in the cabinet to see if you have Acamol or Tylenol or whatever you take? Like, what's the first thing you do when you don't feel well? It's because we're 90% there, or maybe even more than 90%. I don't know. I don't know how to do these percentages. I can't I can't measure. But the tzaddikim, they're there all the play, the whole 100%. So when they say I'm a mishkan, they mean it. Okay, here's the beginning of the parsha. V'chuli truma. They should take from me a donation. So Rashi right away says, what does it mean, take from me a donation? They should give a donation, not for me. It's for the mishkan. So what's the change in the grammar here? And the Mefarshim say that when you give is when you receive, and when you give charity, you're receiving more than you're giving. And when you give to the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, you're receiving infinitely more than whatever that piece of gold was that you contributed. And so the Medrash Rabbah says like this. And the Medrash Rabbah says, quotes another pasuk, and says, there's a pasuk that says, and we say it every single Shabbos when they take out the Torah, when they put back in the Torah, right? Ki lekach tov natati lachem, torati al tazovu. Ki lekach tov natati lechem. I gave you a lekach tov. Now you know that we use the word lekach in the slang to mean like honey cake. Lekach, right? It's honey cake. But a lekach is a receiving. It's something that I received. So lekach tov natati lechem. I gave you. So the simple translation is I gave you a good gift, or I gave you a good item that when you receive it, it's good for you. It's the same idea. The chuli truma, take to me a contribution, when he means give to me a contribution, or lekach tov natati lechem, a good receiver I gave to you. So what does that mean? So, and the Medrash says, like Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, the Jewish, Hashem says to the Jewish people, to us, Macharti lachem Torati, kevayachol, nimkarti ima, I gave you, I sold you my Torah, so to speak, or I gave you my Torah, and in doing that, I sold myself to you. That's what this whole thing of giving and receiving and taking and a lekach, which is a receiving agent, is instead of a gift. Instead of saying a gift I gave to you, I gave you a receiving agent. He says, Hashem said, I gave you something and I embedded myself in the Torah. So I didn't just give you the Torah, like it's not me, Hashem. The Torah is over here. You're over here. And me, Hashem, took the Torah and gave it to you. It's not like that at all. It's Hashem and the Torah and the Jewish people are all one unit. And because of our limited capacity for understanding, we can't understand that. Just like we can understand on a certain level, we understand that there's sunshine in your house. If there's sunshine in your house, where's it coming from? It's coming from the sun over there, right? When the sun is shining in your house. So there's the sun, and all of a sudden there's a beam of sunshine, a ray of sunshine on your table. So that you know that ray of sunshine has come from the sun. If you start thinking about the cheshbon of calculating how many millions of billions of miles it took for that ray of sunshine to get here, you don't really make an association. You don't really believe, or you don't apprehend that piece of sun is the same as the piece of sun over there. But the piece of sun over there, I can't look at it. It's so hot and it's so shiny. And the piece of sun on my table, I can touch it. I can play with it. I see the dust particles in it. But it's the same. But we don't see it so much. We don't think about it as the same. It looks like it's the same, but it feels like it's. But there's two separate items. So too the Torah and the Jewish people and Hashem. Hashem, not Hashem. Hashem encoded himself in the Torah. That's how I'll say it. That's the best we could do. And he gave it to the Jewish people. And the Torah is encoded in us. So nimkarti ima, I sold myself. I gave you the Torah, and I gave myself. I gave myself to you in the Torah, as it says, by chuli shuma. And the Medrash continues and says, Natati lachem et haTorah lifrosh hemena eini yochal. I gave you the Torah, and now you're eternally attached to the Torah, whether you keep it or not, whether you learn it or not, whether you believe it or not. If you're a Jewish soul, your soul is eternally attached to the Torah. You can never disconnect from it. Beit Elokim, wherever you're going, you're bringing with you the Beit Hashem. And that's what it says, Asulim, Beit Hashem Asuli Sha'azur B'tocho. That's what it means when it says, I asked you to build me a Mishkan. And the Mishkan, in the beginning, the Mishkan was movable. It was portable. It walked with us for 40 years in the desert. Then we put it in one place for 300 and something years in Shiloh, Mishkan Shiloh, and then we moved it to Yerushalayim HaKodesh and whatever. But Hashem said the idea of the Mishkan is, I'm with you forever and ever. I'm attached to you. You're attached to me. We have this thing with the Torah. We're both attached to the Torah. We're all one unit, says Hashem. That's what the Mishkan is supposed to teach us. Listen to what the Rebbe says, something really fascinating. Be'emet, bishat matan Torah. You know that every single day we're supposed to remember 10 things a day. Did you know that? We have a mitzvah to remember Eser Zechirot every single yom, every single day. In many Sidurim, there's only 6 Zechirot. But really, by the Sfardim, they bring down, there's 10 Zechirot. And one is, the first thing we're supposed to remember every single day is Matan Torah. We're supposed to remember Matan Torah, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Shabbos, the Man, Amalek, what they did to us, what Bilam and Balak tried to do to us, and Hashem gives us Koach, the story of Miriam, the Beis HaMikdash rebuilding, and Shabbos. I say Shabbos. 10 things we're supposed to remember every single day. The first one is Matan Torah. So he says here, B'sha'at Matan Torah, when we got the Torah, listen to what happened to us. I lost my place. Shekishamu Yisrael Dibur Anochi, when we heard, and every single Jewish soul that ever was, that was then, and that ever will be, in other words, the totality of the soul of the Jewish people. Again, we don't understand this. We think me, you are you, I like you, I have a hard time with you, I never ever met you. We keep thinking that we're separate. And of course we are. On a certain level, we are separate. We're separate human beings. And each one has a separate soul with a separate destiny. And all of us together create this gorgeous nation that we're in. But on a certain level, on the deepest level, and on the highest level, it's one giant soul. And each of us has sparks of that one giant soul. And we're all absolutely related, totally connected. So when we all heard, if we were in the bodies of Jews who left Egypt, or we were in the bodies of Jews who had died before that moment, or we were not in the bodies of Jews yet, we were souls that had yet to be born, or whatever situation our soul was in, whatever quantity our soul was, or quality of soul we had, every single one of us heard the 10 Commandments. Every single one. Every Jew, every soul of every Jew that ever was heard the first two from God and the last 8 from Moshe Rabbeinu. And so it says, when we heard the first word, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Nitzka Talmud Torah B'libam, we became, I'm trying to think of a stronger word than attached. We became absolutely connected forever to the Torah. It went clinched in us. It's like we heard Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and that clinched in us. It caught us. I could see like a visual of a machine that clamps down on us for eternity in the entire soul of the Jewish people. The whole Torah. The whole Torah was then introduced to us, invested in us. The whole Torah, from beginning to end, when we heard Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And when we heard the second commandment of not having idols, the desire for negativity, the pull towards the pull away from God, called the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. That terminology, we have to think of a better terminology for that. But the part of you that tends towards the ego, the Yetzer Hara, that was completely eliminated and eradicated. It disappeared from every one of us. So the second we heard the 10 Commandments, the Torah was invested in us, injected into us. We became eternally attached. It became a part of our DNA, our spiritual and physical DNA. And when we heard the second commandment of no idols and don't think of anything other than God, don't worship anything other than God, then we had no more Yetzer Hara. That must have felt awesome, amazing. Except that what happened? We blew it. As lo haya klal chiluk machanot, that at that point there was in the time of the Matan Torah, there was no separation between any Jews. There wasn't such a thing as Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. There wasn't such a thing as tzaddik and a non-tzaddik. There wasn't such a thing as the tribe of Reuven, tribe of Shimon. There was no separation at all. No pirudim, no classifications, nothing that separated one Jew from the other. We were all absolutely equal. The entire Jewish people was called the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan, the Machaneh of the Shechina, at Har Sinai. What an experience. I'm so glad we have that in our collective memory, number one. I'm so grateful that we have that in our physical DNA. And when they start to be able to map out the spiritual part of the physical DNA, which of course they will one day know how to do that, we will see the gene called Matan Torah in every one of us. And we'll be able to jiggle that gene a little bit and, spark it a little bit. And the memory and the experience of Matan Torah, of the receiving of the Torah, is going to be re-experienced with us. We'll be able to do it again. Now we can only imagine it. And because we've seen so many movies, we imagine it according to the imaginations of movie writers. But at that point, the whole Jewish people was one machaneh, one unit called the Shekhinah. And it was as if we were in, every one of us, we were all surrounding the mountain, we were all together, and we were all in the Holy of Holies, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Beis HaMikdash. That's where we were. I would like to stay there for a few minutes. And that's why it says, when I gave you the Torah, I embedded myself in you. I sold myself to you, said Hashem, so to speak. I became in you. I became part of you. As the Torah says, and Hashem is called the Torah. There's nothing. The Torah and the Jewish people and Hashem are inseparable. And that's why one of the psukim that we say this now, sometimes some people say it before Shemona Esrei, is Ki Shem Hashem Ekra Havagodel Elokeinu. Shem Hashem Ekra, the name of God is the Ekra, is the Torah. The Shem Havaya, the whole entire Torah, is different names of Hashem. And that's what we're hearing now in this. And sadly, when we did the Chet HaEgel, we lost all of that. And every single part of exile that we're in is a fixing of the Chet HaEgel. Just like every single, the Torah says, the Gemara says a mashal of, a king and his kid did something really bad, and the kid was, according to the laws of the land, the king's son had to be stoned with a gigantic stone and kill him. And so the king didn't want to kill his kid. But he did a crime, so he had to figure out a way to somehow manage both keeping the kid alive and keeping the law. So he took that big giant rock and he broke it into a lot of different pieces. And every once in a while they would throw a piece at this prince, and it hurt him. Every once in a while they threw a rock at him, and it hurt. But okay, then he went on with his life until the next throwing of the rock or whatever. And he stayed alive. So Chazal tell us that's how Hashem did it with the Chet HaEgel. Hashem had told Moshe Rabbeinu, step aside, I'm going to destroy them, and I'm going to start the Jewish people all over again from you. Just like I started them from Abraham, then to Yitzchak, and then to Yaakov. I'm going to wipe them all out and start from you. And Moshe Rabbeinu said no, and he prayed for us, and then Hashem said okay. But he has to fulfill the Midas Hadin. The attribute of justice, Hashem chooses, the attribute of justice always has to be fulfilled. And so he took the big giant punishment of destruction and he divided it up into different generations, and every once in a while we get a Parsha. So when we had the Chet HaEgel, so everything receded a little bit. In other words, the feeling that we were one with the Torah receded a little bit from our souls. And receded a little bit. It went away from our forefront of our consciousness. And the Yetzer Hara, the lack of Yetzer Hara also receded, and it began to infringe and introduce itself and interfere with our daily life. Okay, let's talk a little bit. So now we know this. We have this consciousness, and as you read the parsha, you'll try to think of what parallels we have in our life, in Jewish life, and what parallels we have in our personal life that are paralleling the furniture of the Mishkan, the furniture of the Beis Hamikdash, right? Remember that the window in the in Shlomo's Beis Hamikdash, Shlomo Melch's Beis Hamikdash. What was the window? The window from the Kodesh HaKadoshim was narrow inside, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger towards the outside. So Chazal say because the light came from inside, and it was supposed to be broadcast and illuminate the rest of the world. I find that all of us are very short-minded, meaning everyone here is a tzaddik and a tzaddikah. It's just that we lose focus. And especially now with all of this crazy, screens, and here there's two screens in front of me, and I told you, whenever I teach in front of screens, I start yawning. I have no idea why. I don't yawn in other classes, in live. It's not like anyone's draining me, except maybe the machines are draining me. I don't know. It happens to me all the time. It's a crazy thing. But we're very short. We're very short attention span. We've gotten to a shorter and shorter attention span. And because of that, we're not present oftentimes. And when we're tested, a test comes up. Someone says something to you, someone does something, someone annoys you. And because we're not present, if there was somebody there, if somebody's annoying you, and you have a good chaver or a good someone in your life who's spiritually attuned and spiritually connected to you and devoted to you, and they see that you're just about to give a yell, a scream, a critical word, a critical look, and they look at you or they say something to you and they catch you, and then you catch yourself coming back into awareness. And you think, of course I won't say that, of course I won't do that. One of the ways of expressing regret is saying, what was I thinking? How could I have said that? Or how could I have omitted that? Or how could I have done that? Or how could I have forgotten that? And that question shows us, it's a signal that it's literally a lack of awareness. That it's not like we have a bigger Yetzer Hara nowadays. I don't think that's the case. I think that because Shlomo Hamel says in Koheles, he says, don't think that it was ever different in olden days. Everybody had big Yetzer Haras. And in those days they had, they had the same big Yetzer Haras that we have today. I don't think our Yetzer Hara got bigger. I think that our control of our mind got smaller. I think that our awareness and our focus and like Rabbi Nachman says, always think about the world to come. Always think about that you have to give a din cheshbon lifnei melech malchei malchim hakadosh baruch hu. Always think about that thought. Shiviti Hashem l'negdi tamim. David Melech says us. He says the pasuk. Shiviti Hashem l'negdi tamim. Always imagine Hashem is before you, and we don't, and that's sad. And we have to hear messages from Goyim that say you have everything if you'd only do it, if you'd only believe in it, if you'd only actualize it. So one of the things that we have to say every single day is, please Hashem, help me to stay present. Help me to stay focused. I shouldn't have hesach hadat. Hesach hadat means my mind got distracted. My mind wandered. I wasn't paying attention. Hesach hadat is that's exactly where we mess up. When we just say something in a flippant way, in a silly way, in an arrogant way, we don't realize, we don't pay attention to the pain we can cause by the power of our words. We don't pay attention. So every single day we ask Hashem, please keep me present. When we say Shema Yisrael, we physically do that when we put our hands over our eyes. Why do we do that? Because Hashem wants us to go inside, to gather all of the thoughts that are flying all over the place, and just to gather them into your brain. Don't let anything distract you. You put your hands over your eyes, and you also close your eyes. And we don't want to be distracted from life. Okay, so the younger you are, the more distractions you have. The older you get, you have less distractions, or you have the potential for less distractions, unless you incorporate into your life more distractions. And that's called the Beis Hamikdash that we have inside of us. We have to try to remember it. So these weeks of the Parshios of Truma, Tetzaveh, and then Kitisa next week is going to be the week after, and then Vayakel Pekude, and then the whole book of Vayikra, which is always read during Pesach time. It's always Pesach Purim, these Parshiot, and we're so focused on the holidays of Purim and Pesach, and then Sfirat HaOmer, that we sort of like, it's a funny way how Hashem made the curriculum for the Torah study for the Jewish people, is that the hardest Parshiot are coming during the weeks where we can sort of like excuse ourselves and not learn the Parsha so deeply because we have to, clean for Pesach or prepare for Pesach. Now we're preparing for Purim, right? Today is the first day of Adar. We're ready, Mishanichas Adar. We're ready being happy. We're already trying to feel the shift of the energy and to ask Hashem to pray every single day. To pray, let me feel the simcha of Adar. Let me feel the relief of not being killed. The relief of, the same menace over and over again that Hashem keeps saving us from. And we know the biggest menace now is Iran. And we know that there's a whole bunch of games being played. I'm not a politician, Baruch Hashem, but even me with my non-politicianness knows you can't make deals with people and nations who keep breaking deals. Every single one of the wars that happened to Israel, except for the first one, the War of Independence, every single war, we had a peace treaty with the ones who eventually attacked us and started the war, including this last war with Hamas on October 7th. We had a ceasefire with them. And that's why the ridiculous, silly, anti-Semitic parts of the Israeli government kept saying things like, Hamas wants peace, they want to have a life, they want to be normal, which is pure lie. And they knew it also. They were being paid to say that. Whatever. But you can't make treaties with people who they don't consider the treaty viable, and that you don't have to keep that treaty. They have a law that says you don't have to keep a treaty, a contract that you make with an infidel, of which all of us are in their eyes. So why are we wasting this time? So I don't know. I'm just like you are. I'm just being an observant Jew and observing the whole game being played between Trump and Iran, observing it and hoping that he'll be a good tool in Hashem's hands to begin the process of the Geula by wiping out Iran. Not wiping out the people, but wiping out the regime that wants to kill the whole world. That would be interesting if that would happen around this time of year, Purim time. It's the same country, Paras and Iran is the same country. Purim is the victory of God over Paras Iran, when Paras Iran was stating publicly, as Paras Iran has been stating publicly for 47 years, that their aim and goal is to eradicate the Jewish people. I don't know, in my day, that was called genocide. So why aren't they being accused of genocidal threats? I don't know. Oh, because they hide behind, it's not Jews, it's the Zionists that they want to kill, and this country that they want to kill. So has there any country in the UN ever stepped up to the plate and said, oh, by the way, our aim is to kill another country. One country wants to kill another country. Does that happen in the UN? Did it happen to anybody except Paras, Iran, and Israel? I don't think so. And we'll see. We'll see if we'll see if Rabbi Kessin is right. I really hope he is. Rabbi Mendel Kessin, he should be well. I hope he's right, and that Edom has a part of it that can be fixed and that can do teshuvah. That's what he says, and I hope that Edom actually does teshuvah, meaning America does teshuvah, and that it comes to the aid of the state of Israel and takes out the murderers in Iran who are declaring every single day that they want to destroy every single Jew in the land of Israel. And they're the ones who pay for Hamas, they're the ones who pay for Hezbollah. So it's good times now for us Jews. And we always say that from today, actually already happened already 2 weeks ago. I forgot to say it to you on Tu B'Shvat. From today, actually from 2 weeks ago on Tu B'Shvat, every 2 weeks in the Jewish calendar, we have a holiday, right? 2 weeks ago was Tu B'Shvat. Now, 2 weeks later now is Rosh Chodesh. 2 weeks from now is Purim. 2 weeks past that is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. 2 weeks after that is Pesach. 2 weeks after that is Pesach, is Rosh Chodesh Iyar. 2 weeks after that is Pesach Sheni. 2 weeks after that is Sivan, Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And then after Rosh Chodesh Sivan, we have the first 12 days, and in the middle of there is Lag BaOmer, and then Sfiras HaOmer, and then we have Shavuos, which lasts for a week after Shavuos. Shavuos lasts for 1 day in Israel and 2 days in Chutz La'aretz, but then it's a 6 day, it has a 6 or 7 day extension, just like all the other holidays, so that we're now till the middle of Sivan. We have every 2 weeks a holiday, and let's hope that it keeps up, because then comes the summer, and let's hope that this year, the 17th of Tammuz is a holiday, Tisha B'Av is a holiday. We can go then. Let's hope that that continues every 2 weeks for holiday. That would be something. Okay, hang on. Fasten your seatbelts. Keep observing. There was somebody sent me a very nice clip from, let me see if I can, some kind of a some kind of a newspaper or a magazine. I forgot what it was. Herald, Guardian, something. And it was a non-Jew who was talking about how the world is going crazy because we were supposed to be dead such a long time ago, and nothing that they do to us can destroy us. And if that's the case, we defy all rules of nature. And not only did we survive, but we're thriving, and we're growing, and we're, the head of the world in technology and medicine and agriculture and morality. And so this guy with it's a very nice video. He said that the reason the world is so anti-Semitic is because they think that we're doing magic, that we must be cheating. There's no way that we could be doing all of this without cheating, which is why they always accuse us of whatever they've been accusing us all of these thousands of years, as if we're cheating because we really were supposed to be dead, thousands of years ago, because they all tried to kill us. We must be doing something cheating. There's something underhanded going on, and that's the source of what their anti-Semitism is, not based on facts, but based on there's no other way that they could be surviving except for the fact that they must be controlling everything. They're controlling the money, they're controlling the weather, they're controlling everything. So he said, this guy who wrote this article said, the alternative to Jews cheating is that God exists and he chose us and he's protecting us. That's the only other alternative. That's the only answer to our survival. Either we're cheating and we're somehow manipulating the entire universe, and we own everything and we do everything, or we don't do any of that, which that's the answer. We don't manipulate or own anything. And but there's a God, and he chose us, and he watches over us, and he keeps his promises to us, and he restored us to our land, and He allowed us to to re-speak or to repopulate, make popular our language, and now we're keeping Torah in our land, with our language, with our people. And there's a God, and He keeps His promises. And this is what the Bible's all about. That's the alternative. And that's what the world is afraid of. So they have to make up all kinds of crazy things. Like we run the world, we own the world, we're whatever, all the things that they make up that's so funny. I heard a funny comedian, he said, if we own the world and we run the world, how come our country is so small that if you look at a map, you have to expand the map like 17 times so you see the country? Then you have to expand it again so you see the name of the country, because our country is so small that we can't even stamp our name on our country on the map. That controls the world. Anyway, okay, Baruch Hashem. Hashem is running the world. Hashem promises us that we do run the world. That's the funny thing is, yes, we do. I hate to tell us to the goyim, we run the world. We run the world by our mitzvah, by our masim tovim. Hashem arranges the world surrounding us. And yes, if a Jew does a good deed, and if a Jew fulfills the commandments, then there's blessing in the world. And the opposite happens, and the opposite happens. And it is because of the Jews. But it's not because of faking the system or cheating. It's because God. It's because of God and the covenant that He made with us. And by the way, the covenant that He made with humanity. You also have to fulfill the 10 Commandments. You also have to fulfill the 7 mitzvot of Noah, the Noahide laws. If we all did that, we would all be in good shape. And we will. That's going to happen very, very soon. So you should have a healthy week, a happy week, a Chodesh Tov. You're beginning the month. We're beginning the month with learning Torah. Today is the first day of Adar, and you had a shiur that you came to. Kol hakavod, good for you. You had a Torah class. Let it be that the whole month of Adar is full of Torah classes and of Torah learning on your own, listening to classes on the machines, listening to classes live. Let's make this a Torah learning month. It should be a blessed month. Well, let's see. Let's see already Haman overturned. I would be very happy to see Haman hung. Whoever the present day Hamans are, they should be. Okay, sweeties, have a good week. Thank you, Gitty, again, for everything that you do for us.